Welcome back to It's a Tool Thing. Today with a little bit of updates and tool talk. It's been one of those days. I actually did clean my hands, but they're pretty stained, and I didn't try to clean them that much. Just going to lunch, going to get back right into it. This one's a pretty oily mess. Getting a transmission and a in-frame. I'm working on getting the transmission out, or just got the transmission out. I want to give you a quick update on the Thor Impact. The power seems good. But the bulk and the trigger and the shift lever have been things I've noticed as being some problems. Not that you can't work around them, but definitely issues. First thing that came to mind was when you're pulling the drive line out and you got this drive line socket on there, it hits the side really hard. And it's trying to tip the socket. Not in every case, but in the majority of cases where the Ingersoll would actually fit. Without that, in most cases, I mean, there's always going to be those ones with the angle of the drive line or the position of the bolt. Also, this shifter, pulling those out, it was hitting you get the drive line there, and it was actually shifting the direction on you, which was being a problem. I didn't have a lot of access to get it up there to begin with. I still haven't gotten the whip hose adapter on it, so the hose is sticking out a ways, so it's not as flexible as I would like. And then the other thing, when you have air on this thing, this trigger, I mean, it feels like a little bit of a two-stage trigger here, but when there's air on it, there's a significant wall that I don't like. I'd like the trigger to be smoother. Functionally, it works fine. I actually had somebody borrow it, and they were only pulling it to that wall, and still had more trigger that they weren't giving it because they didn't know it was there. Because they thought they didn't sit there and try to cram down as hard as they could on the trigger. So, other than that, it's been good. No issues at this point. Functionally, it seemed to have decent power, but it is definitely the width is noticeable in this shift lever and the trigger. Moving along, I've been working on getting some transmission engine mounts out this morning. Pulled a couple PTOs off and some flex plate bolts and whatnot, but this is most to do with the engine mounts. So they were stupid tight. The torque spec on them is supposed to be 167 to 196, and I was having to brace myself and use 2 feet on this 24-inch long ratchet, and they were still a struggle to break loose with this stubby socket, which did fit in almost everywhere. There was 2 bolts that failed to fit into with this setup. I also was using which I did not grab out to bring out here, my 30 or 36-inch snap-on breaker bar. But the head on it's actually longer it's almost as long as this, I want to say, just for the head without a socket. So you're adding a significant length. That is with the square drive, but you're definitely adding a significant length. And it did fit in a few places, but it definitely wasn't going to fit in most of them. Even this wouldn't fit in 2 of the positions. So I stepped down to the gear wrench, 0 offset, and I did not have enough lead in my fat ass to break it loose with this. I didn't put a cheater pipe. I don't think I can without cutting the end off. But I did put a little bit of pressure on it. Definitely 200 foot-pounds worth, and it wasn't budging. So, though it did fit in there, it wasn't able to break the fasteners loose. So I ended up going to this one, which is, I always keep some spare wrench on. This one I actually cut today. It had a 7/8 here. These are actually 21 millimeter fasteners. This is a 13/16, an old SK Wayne, USA made. And I was able to get one of those 2 fasteners out. But one of them I was actually running into a problem where I was, with this and a cheater pipe on it, I was hitting the spring shackle and wasn't able to get the last fastener. Actually, I moved it a little bit trying to clear that spring shackle, and then when I loaded it up, it slipped off, kind of damaged the fastener a little bit. Not seriously rounded, but you could see where it slipped off. It'll be fine, clean it up. But as far as be able to reuse that fastener, but the 13/16 are really tight also, which is a problem. You don't have a lot of room trying to wiggle it on. But I had this one that I've cut down, and this SK 21 millimeter I've cut down and flattened. I've had problems with the Craftsman ones when I straighten them like this, but they bend. because you kind of take the stress out of them or whatever when you're heating them and straightening them. This one actually did pretty good. I had a 30-inch teeter pipe on it and was able to break it loose, and I didn't get any bendage on this one, so that's a good sign. This one might be good for quite some time because I have a, I think it's actually a 13/16, but a Craftsman one I've straightened and it's bent pretty good around the corner. Some other wrenches that I had to use on this job with the PTO removal. I use these quite a bit. This is one of my PTO wrenches. I've got this head shaved down to be able to get in there. This size is radiused real tight. But it allows you to get in there, break it loose. And then this one here is also radiused, obviously here, and it's thinned down. This actually worked on some. Once I got it broke loose, I was able to get that up in there. And then these were a bolt and nut combination, which is kind of uncommon. I'm glad it was, because it would have been a real struggle to rotate that one nut out had it been a stud or a bolt there where that nut was. There was no room at all. This was a struggle to even get in there. And I always keep the leftovers, even though you could just use a regular stubby. I cut this one years ago. I don't even know when. I've broken these before, so I just make a new one. But it's a good point that you should always have some lower quality wrenches, even though this is a USA made Craftsman and those are USA made SK and SK Waynes. Something that you're willing to mutilate as needed to be able to get the job done. It's always a good idea. I try to stick to still USA if possible, Craftsmans or SKs or Protos or Bonnies, or there's all kinds of them. But I tend not to try to buy the Taiwan wrenches, stuff like that for modification, though you could. I try really hard to stick with the USA made ones if possible, though I do have some modified ones. But the point really is that you should keep a low budget wrench, even if it is a Taiwan or a Chinese wrench, something in your box that you're willing to grind it down, to cut it off. This one here in particular, the reason I had to cut this 7/8 off of here was because the pipe wouldn't fit over it. So it wasn't long enough to do the job anyways. I've got a couple of these. When I see them used for, I think I paid $2. I don't know if you can read the price, but it was still written on here. It says it right there, but I paid like $2 for it. So, I'm out $2, but it got the job done, or it helped me get the job done. It's well worth the investment. But keeping a spare set, I always have at least one spare set of standard and metric. I usually keep them in my shop truck, plus all the modified wrenches I have over the years, so you can get the job done. That's just a quick overview. Thank you for watching. Please comment down below about what you do, what kind of wrenches you've modified, and how they worked out, or if they only end up using them once, or if it's something like this PTO wrench that you use all the time. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And as always, have a great day.